right, everybody. Welcome to the Dev Talk Show here on, I always have to look down for this, on August 17th, 2022. You'd think I'd remember the day, because I'm pretty sure I said it a couple times today.
Yep.
But once we start rolling, and this could be sitting in my chair or here, I forget what day of the week it is. But here we are, the Dev Talk Show, in-person studio, right here with Rich Ross. It's been over 2 years since we've done an in-person show.
Yeah, it's definitely been a while.
So I think that we'd forgotten a lot of the different challenges from doing this in our homes. And so we're testing in production, no doubt, today with, hopefully a stream starting video that you got to see, and maybe that all looked pretty good and normal to you. And hey, we're getting prepped for being back in here a little more often. I don't think it'll be 100%, but certainly there are some opportunities in our local community that might have us back in here again pretty soon.
And we got some new equipment.
Yep.
So we're trying some different things out.
Oh yeah.
And that's part of the reason for why one of the things we seem to have lost is the chrome that goes around the camera there.
It's all right.
We've got a new switcher, but we've got chrome coming up when we get to the really cool overlay bit.
Yeah.
But I saved it for the good part because we're going to spend most of our time probably in that other screen.
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah. We have the overlay for the code, but you remember the old days? It looked like we were looking out over the city.
Yes.
Or something, but we weren't. It was basically this.
A wall.
It's movie magic, except here in the studio. So hey, it's great to be back.
It definitely is.
Thanks for putting the location together, and a lot of this. Rich is like has always been the show's producer. All the wires and stuff you don't see make this stuff happen.
Yeah, I took a picture. Really
cool.
Maybe if we're
cool.
adventurous enough, we'll post it later. But
awesome. So thank you for being here. So tonight we are making sure we can still do this here because it'll give us a great opportunity for some in-person guests. Local community groups are looking to kind of get back on the calendar, and if that happens, then we'll have a setup that we can take to the groups, and maybe we can, besides being part of broadcasting them live, we could also have them on the show afterwards. It was always fun to have somebody on the show to kind of go more in depth beyond the demos. That's kind of how this whole thing started, was let's go beyond the demos, poke around a little bit, and you join us and find out if we know what we're talking about. And sometimes the answer was yes, and sometimes the answer was no. So speaking of which, are we able to announce some of the things coming up in September?
Yeah,
or not quite yet. I'm not sure if it's on the official calendar.
Let me check. I'm sure Bill was working on putting it on the official calendar.
I want to just make sure.
Yeah.
But I think it's probably okay to say that the Philly Azure and Philly.net groups are working to get back on an in-person calendar. Mm-hmm. Those will be streamed and saved on YouTube channels. Haven't quite worked out yet where things might be mirrored, because it might make sense for some of you folks to have access to them, and then maybe people who are used to subscribing to the other groups know about this show too. That would be pretty good. And it's not
up there yet.
It's not on the Philly.net meetup yet, but it's coming.
Yep.
And I think some of it is some last minute logistics. But hey, that's Bill Wolf getting the gang back together here at Philly.net since 2020. And I'm sure a lot of folks that watch this show are excited to hear that.
Yeah, and I think part of it is me, because Bill sent me a note, and in my inbox is, hey, I need your title and description for the session we're doing in September. So there's that.
Right. Yeah, that's right. So Rich is going to speak at one of them, and then I am working to line up a couple myself. We might have some of the guests from this area. You never know. If you know the Philly.net area, you probably know some of the regular speakers who maybe you'll be our first back in, and we'll see. We'll see how that goes. It's super exciting. It's been a long time coming. But in the meantime, thank you, everybody who's kept watching this show. We know who you are, and sometimes more than others, and sometimes we get surprised, and the YouTube algorithm serves us up to a lot of folks. Maybe we'll see what happens tonight.
Yeah.
So tonight, so Hector's here.
Yeah. Hey,
awesome.
Hector.
Good to see
Welcome.
you. And I don't think our feature chat overlay works yet. That's okay. It's all right. It may, I don't know.
I got to think about how that's going to work.
I know, huh? It's a lot of things. It's funny, like, yeah, let's get back in the studio. And then it turns out that some of the things we were doing from our home, you get them wired after 2.5 years. Or you just, I remember that. And then I forgot, it's not necessarily like riding a bike. I don't remember how we did some things. But we'll get it.
Yeah, and I think part of this is we want to be able to do some of these things in a remote fashion, right? So what we're using here is some wireless microphones, some technology that is portable. So instead of having the big rig with the graphics card in there and the all the monitors and everything that we used to take when we go on the road and do it at a conference or whatever, I've got a box like this big, and everything's contained inside of there.
Yeah.
Now, it does mean I've got to kind of rethink some of the things we did with overlays, some of the things we did with videos, and that's fine. I've got some ideas for that. But we wanted to at least try this out tonight and see how it goes.
Yep. We had to try it. So awesome, we're here. And what we're going to talk about real quick, let's see, the title says Visual Studio Code Extensions for Productivity. And so, we'll see how long we go with this. There's a couple that I had in mind. Avoiding, and not for any particular reason, not necessarily anything language specific. I definitely was on the hunt for things that will help any developer, doesn't matter the platform, and we'll see. Hopefully everything sounds good, and we might as well just get started.
Yeah, so you want me to switch over to you?
Yeah, let's switch over, and in a second here when I get into a Visual Studio Code screen, and there we go. So there we are, Visual Studio Code, we're there in the corner. That's awesome. I happen to have Code Insiders up. I'm going to probably switch back and forth between a couple here. One of the reasons why was I didn't want some things to clash. I don't know that they will.
Okay.
And you can see that. So on my personal machine here, I've got a lot of stuff installed already. But one that I wanted to take a quick peek at, real quick, was I don't know if you've heard of Peacock.
I have not.
Okay, so let's take a look at Peacock. It's already installed, but if you just search for Peacock in the marketplace, which you can do right in Visual Studio Code by clicking on usually it's the 5th one down, extensions, and then type Peacock in, and you can bring up Peacock. Now, Peacock was created, it's distributed by John Papa, who, he has been doing developer relations and speaking about different projects for years. I know for a long, and I know he moves around to things too. So for a long time, I remember a ton of Angular.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure if he still is. I'm just being fair to John because I haven't seen John in a while, so I don't know what is. But Peacock was an idea he had because I think when you are a Visual Studio Code developer, especially probably if you're a web developer, you might have a lot of Visual Studio Code windows open. In fact, it happens to me.
Right.
And so the idea behind Peacock is to subtly change, or maybe not so subtly, the workspace framing so that you can very quickly spot which window you're in. And that could be super helpful in a lot of different cases. So I already have it installed, and this one's real simple. It does take advantage of workspaces. So what's the most important is that I open some workspace. I happen to have on this machine, I don't want to confuse it, but I created a folder. It might be a little hard to see, so I'll make this a lot bigger. I just created a folder called Peacock. It doesn't matter what it's called. This just happens to be a .NET project. It doesn't have to be .NET. The key is that Peacock saves these settings per folder. In fact, you're kind of getting a hint here that it's saving them in the VSCode folder settings JSON, but that's okay. So if I open that folder in Peacock, this one's already, in Visual Studio Code with the Peacock extension installed, this one is already set up. So if I click it and I just select that folder, it turned red. So Visual Studio Code now has a red border. And the reason is because in the settings JSON in that .VSCode folder, there is just one little setting, peacock.color is red. That's it. That's all it does. That's all the extensions. So I say I could change this to orange and save it. And now the title bar is orange. And maybe your workflow involves having a couple windows open. You might appreciate the fact that at a quick glance, you could say, hey, that's the window that I'm doing the web work in. This is the one that maybe I'm trying to think of something. This could be connected to a container.
Sure.
This other one's doing something else, like maybe I keep my REST client stuff in there. I don't know. But that's it. That's what it does. It's real simple.
Nice.
And wanted to start off with a simple one. So now just to demonstrate another one, let me open another folder. I've got plenty of projects that we've done over the years here. So if I just say code, let's do Streamwatcher. That's another project. So that just by running code, I needed to do Code Insiders because I happen to have this installed in my Insiders build. Maybe we even talk about the difference between the two at some point. But if I just say code Streamwatcher, I made that look really hard. So now here we are in Visual Studio Code, and it went back to the default theming. So maybe I don't remember that I need a settings file here, and I don't remember that it's got to have a certain setting. I just might not remember all that stuff. So if I use the command palette, Control-Shift-P in Windows and Linux typically, I can type Peacock, and you get the listing of things that are in Peacock, right? All these different things that the extension will do. Bunch of stuff. But the one that I like is just enter a color. It says, hey, what color do you want for this title bar? And I'm going to say, let's change to something that's like cornflower blue. So now it's this nice blue. So this project that happens to be called Streamwatcher, now it created for me the VS Code folder and the settings.json, and here it is, cornflower blue, and that's pretty much it. Now I can close this, and if I open it back up, it's going to remember. It's going to be, yep, that's blue. And if I say, well, what if I just open Code Insiders here from here in the source folder, then it says, no, that's not. You don't have a Peacock setting for this folder, so I'll go back to the defaults.
Okay.
And that's it. Start off with a simple one, but now you certainly can't miss. Well, this is my Streamwatcher project, and this was just a sample project I made. Orange, blue. That was the first one.
I like it. I like it. And there are often times where I get into that same scenario, right? I've got multiple environments open, and I'm sure especially with code being so easy it is to open up multiple projects and open up multiple folders, it's very easy to have, and they're like, wait, so they tend to multiply.
Oh yeah, I mean there are certainly times where I realize I've opened like 5, 6, 7 of these, and this might help you. So that's one of them, and let's see, let me open something different here so that so that we don't have that anymore. Not that I don't like it. What happened to my? Oh, that's the featured chat, isn't it? Where did my? It's like it doesn't want to. The Windows terminal. It's just like, where did I go?
Is it in another?
Did it go to another window? No. I don't care if you open another one. Can I just see it?
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. That's good enough. I want to open Code Insiders again, but let's from a different folder. Now I'm in command prompt. Let's try this one. Oh, I don't want to make the folder. I want to change to it, and then I want to open Code Insiders, and we'll do git. Oh, I can just do it from here. I can just do a dot. I'm just trying to get back into Visual Studio Code and default theme. Here we go. Okay, so the next one that I want to look at this is an extension. I don't know. Maybe people know about it. Let me know if you do. Let us know if you already knew about this in the comments or just right now on Twitch or on YouTube. This is one called Quokka, Quokka.js. It's by I don't know how big the company is, but it's by Wallaby.js, which is a unit testing tool suite and framework for JavaScript. It's a product that you can buy, integrates really well into, I believe it integrates into Visual Studio Code and maybe some other IDEs, I'm just not remembering right now. Quokka has a free version, which all you do is just look for Quokka, install the extension, and what you get from it is a JavaScript execution environment that will run as you're working. So here is just a real simple JavaScript file let me make it bigger so we can see it. There's not a whole lot going on here, but I've got a function add that'll add 2 numbers, simple thing, and then I've got another function that'll return true or false if a string is a palindrome, and then I'm testing it out. I'm saying, hey, let's let test equal that palindrome function, like is hello a palindrome, and then let's create another variable where we use the add function 1 and 7, and then you can also see that I'm just basically just writing some throwaway code that just is the variables. But I haven't turned on Quokka yet. So to turn it on, one way to do it is Control-Shift-P, and I can search for a lot of different things here, but I can search for its command. Start on current file is the one I want. So if I say start on current file, and then let me close this down a little bit. Okay. Now, all of a sudden, besides these little green dots you're seeing in the corner, what this is telling you is it's telling you that Quokka has picked these up, and it's actually executing this code, and it's showing us the results on these lines where it's saying, hey, blah is 8, x is 4, test is false. Another way that you can get it to go ahead and show you the output is if you use a console log, then it's putting this output to the right.
Okay.
So what I can do is I can say, let's create a couple more of these. Obviously that palindrome is false. So let's say, no, that's not it. Race car is a palindrome, right?
Yes.
Here we are also doing English here on the Dev Talk Show. So let's do a console.log for test 2, and it changes it to true. And if I mess up this, well, I don't mess it up. If it's evaluating constantly,
right.
So I put an S in, it switches to false instantly.
Okay.
Put it back, switches to true instantly. The same thing here. If I start changing these values too, that changes the block. The X was something I declared way up at the top of the file. It's kind of in our way right now. But 2 plus 7 is definitely 9. 2 plus 71 is 73. 2 plus 713 is 715. So you're getting this pretty cool instant feedback experience, especially if maybe one good use for this is because in this particular configuration, using Quokka this way, you might look at it and say, but I'm not going to leave this code in here. And that's a fair point. We'll get to that in just a second. But it could allow you to say, I'm writing some method like a palindrome function where there's a correct implementation. Now, should you go and write unit tests? Of course. But I just kind of want to see if it works. So what I could do is I could do this a slightly different way. Instead of, so I'm writing the code, and I could have this in place. I could have these tests in place, these just right here tests. But maybe I don't quite have the method right yet. So if I take this out, I'm looking at this and I'm going, well, I must not have the method right because line 15 should be false and line 16 should be true. So let me keep working, and so you keep working and you go, okay, I've got it. Now, I mean, I'll probably take this code out, but it's a way that I could just like all in one place. I'm even shortcutting the step of save and run unit test, save and run unit test. Now I might go, if I wrote the unit tests first, I can check those. If I haven't, now I might go write those.
Right.
But I could at least get working very quickly here. Now, if you find this a little inconvenient, which I sort of get,
okay.
There is and we're going to, let's see, I wonder if I can do this live. There is a pro edition, which you can try. And I may actually have to go get this out of my email.
Do you want to come off you for a minute?
Well, let's see what happens.
Okay.
If I get an email, if my phone tells me I got an email, then I'll go get the key. We'll activate this license. It's a trial edition.
Okay.
And we can see how Quokka Pro works live, because that's what we love doing, live on the Dev Talk Show. Because why not?
Everything else we've got is kind of, testing out. So let's see if we can make a subscribe, get a key, and get access to the service right here.
Oh yeah, look at that! It did show up. So
okay,
let me come back on this screen. You'll move us off, and I'm going to go to my email.
Oh, hang on, I'm going to move you off.
Yeah.
We'll do this.
All
So it's
right,
to us.
cool.
Okay.
So we'll keep the conversation going as I go get my trial license for Quokka. See how easy that was? Push the button, type your email address. I'm going to get a trial license. It's the harder part is actually, oh no, it turned out, I thought I was going to have to sign in and 4-factor authentication and get my phone and poke my finger. I thought I was going to have to do all that, but it turns out that I am signed in on this laptop.
Excellent.
That's another interesting thing. This laptop, this small laptop you see here, I got about 3 years ago for Philly.net, for in-person presentations, Tech Bash and stuff, and it's been on the shelf for over 2 years. I don't know how much updating I had to do. I came on and Windows was like, whoa, you've got security updates. You'd better not even plug this thing in anywhere. And I go, well, how am I supposed to download the updates?
Right?
So, you know, it even told me like, hey, you're all set for Windows 11. And I said, I'm not going to do that on a show day. So let's see.
I'm sure you were tempted.
Well, I thought about it. And then I thought, no, I better not. So how do I do the license thing? Okay, activate license, put in the key, submit the key. It is licensed to an extended trial. It works until September 2nd.
Cool.
Okay, so now that I've done that, now that I'm back here, let's see.
Oh, you're back.
Yeah, I'm back. Let's see if we can use some of these other features that aren't, I should have shown without activating the license. So here we are with this palindrome effect. You might find this a little cumbersome, and I would understand that. So what if I could do this instead? What if I could say, maybe that's not it. Maybe, oh, do I have to start? I have to start it again.
Probably, yeah. It doesn't
start
know.
Quokka again. There,
Whoa,
awesome.
That's pretty
This is what I wanted. Is this little comment, I think they call this live view.
Okay.
And so this little comment of just the / question mark shortcuts all the other tap dancing I was doing. Make a variable, then either put that variable in its own line or maybe console log it.
Yep.
It's shortcutting that and just, it's doing all of that.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I admit, like, hey, is it worth paying for? Might be worth paying for. It's telling me here, and then I'm getting a little bit more feedback. It's like, well, I can't console log test. That's not defined. But yeah, you get that all in one. That's kind of neat. There's another thing that it will do. Let's say, what if the input string, boy, we're going to try to do this live too. This will be cool. If input string, let's say that it's an empty string.
Okay.
Then in JavaScript, how do you throw? You throw this way, right? Throw new error. Hey, everybody, I'm trying to remember JavaScript on the fly. We can't use an empty string. Okay. I'm pretty sure, and I don't think you need Quokka Pro for this, by the way, but you don't get the nifty feature that I like here, this live view.
Okay.
So what if I now test it by, and I want to make this a little bit shorter so we can see. What if I test my palindrome function with that empty string? See what Quokka does? It picks up the exception, the error, and it goes ahead and displays that as the answer in red. And what inspired me, what made me realize, oh, I should show this, was that was the mistake we were getting in here where it was saying, oh, I can't show you test. There is no test. Test isn't defined. Well, now it can't execute this far down anymore because the error killed the JavaScript file.
Sure.
But we get feedback here. And we get feedback here to say that, yes, this happened, and we get feedback here. Now, if I go ahead and put in something that works, then we no longer are throwing the exception here. So this turns white. It's giving me feedback that, no, this error is not getting thrown. And this worked.
Yep.
Let test2 equal race car. I can use the new live view thing to get my true right there. I can also do it here. Now, this live view, that cool / question mark, that was a paid feature. But now I'm here, test isn't defined. It's once again, it's crushing. The JavaScript execution is ending, so I'm getting no more execution. If I go fix that by just defining test again, and actually I don't even care what I define it as, 345 is fine, then Quokka can continue finishing the rest of the file. So what's really happening under the hood, as you're probably guessing, is Quokka is just very quickly executing this file again and again and again.
Yep.
But I really wanted to try out that Pro feature because I was looking at their video on their site, and I said, oh, that would be really cool to demo, but oh, I don't have a license. Well, let's do a trial license on the air.
Yeah.
And maybe this is something I'll get, especially if I was working in JavaScript daily, it would definitely be like, hold on, this might be really helpful.
Yeah, there's so many times I've gotten in trouble with JavaScript
Yeah.
that way.
Yeah. I just currently don't happen to be, but you never know.
Mhm.
I remember one time when I said, I wonder if I'm okay getting rid of my SQL Server querying book. And it turns out that currently I found out, no, it was a good thing I hung on to that.
It keeps coming
because
back
it
around.
comes back. These things come back. So that's Quokka. Hopefully people like that. I think it was interesting. All right, so let's see. I don't know if we'll get much. We might out of this next one. It may already be installed on this machine, which means we'll go to a blank machine. Let's see if I already have VS Code icons. Do I? Do I already have VS Code icons? I don't. I don't. But what I'm not sure about is what we're going to get different. VS Code icons is one that's often recommended because it adds more file icons.
Sure.
And it comes from the VS Code icons team, and they're going to tell you, there's not much to show with this, but they're going to tell you, hey, well, I was hoping that maybe their little video here would be a demo. So it does look like it lights up more colorful icons. That's just their little demo video.
Right.
And but it's one that I'm often pointed to say, hey, and then the other thing is there are themes too. But let's see what happens if I install it, and we'll see if we notice any difference. So, well, yeah, it did change the icons actually.
Oh, wow, yeah.
Yeah, so the git ignore, I don't want to say that it was plain before, but these are certainly more colorful. And I believe there are also themes. So you can come to set file icon theme. You can go download other themes. It looks like it just ships with the VS Code icons one. But I believe, for one thing, we can see that it not only did it change this to a folder, it looks like it even put a little JS over it, and it's detecting that this is my CSS folder, so it put the CSS icon over it.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah. So, you know, I remember seeing this one a while ago, and people like it, and so I said, well, let's take a look at it tonight. So that's VS Code icons, dash icons. So far we've done Peacock,
Yep.
Quokka, and VS Code dash icons.
It's off to a good start.
Yeah, yeah. So, and again, if you've used these, if you have, oh, whoops, that was my license key. What do you know?
Whoops.
So after all that, so that means on YouTube, we'll have to go blur that out a little bit later.
Yeah.
So, what was I saying? Oh, yeah. So, again, things that not necessarily platform specific, I suppose Quokka sort of bends that rule a little bit.
Yeah.
But let's take a look at another one that I was trying to get over to. This is a Linux VM. And so now, here we are in Linux in Visual Studio Code, and we're going to look at a couple other ones. One of them we used just the other week. These are the two that, if you just type REST client, at least right now, today, these are the two that come up at the top of the list, REST client and Thunder client. And these are actually the two that I wanted to talk about. Now, there are a lot of, you can see a lot of people are writing REST clients.
Mm-hmm.
I do think, and just being honest, there's a little bit of shenanigans here when I see icons that are exact copies.
Okay.
And that, I think, not only even just kind of close, because I'm seeing that in this list, and I'm also seeing one that's just an exact copy of REST client, the one at the top, and that's unfortunate. But I want to install REST client and Thunder client because they both attack this problem similar ways, but I think it kind of depends on your preference. Like, are you the kind of person that really likes the Postman-like experience, or do you want to stay in a text file?
Okay.
And so they're both installed. And with Thunder client installed, Gosh, we're gonna need a little web API, aren't we? Or something, anything we can call, anything we can ping, like
I got
a
a
weather
URL
API
you can
or
call.
something. Okay,
Yep.
cool. So let's take a look at Thunder Client first, and the reason why is because it'll give Rich a second to get me an API, and Thunder Client, I would say, this is just my opinion, is more like the third party, like Postman or Talend, I think is another REST client, where you get like a UI, and you can create new requests, you can create collections, you can set up like environments with variables. So it's very full featured, which is a good thing. There's nothing wrong with that. But when I click new requests, so first of all, Thunder Client adds a new tab. Gosh, we did a whole thing on VSCode Extensions, and I don't remember what those are actually called. I don't remember if they're called tabs.
Down the left there.
Yeah, down the left. It's funny because when we wrote the code, we had to learn the names for this stuff. But it's a new view, and it's so instead of being part of the 5 standard Explorer, Search, Source Control, Run and Debug, and Extensions, it adds its own.
Okay.
And that's okay. And it's basically saying, oh, actually, they've got a welcome API right here, thunderclient.com/welcome. I can click send this. In fact, if you've used Postman, it kind of looks the same,
Good.
which is cool. Except now you don't have to leave your ID. You know, this is the ID you work in. You don't have to leave.
Yep.
And they're automatically writing back and saying like, hey, welcome to Thunder Client. And what's cool is they return a little JSON object. They also return a bunch of headers in this little sample one. I like this because that way you can kind of really check the tool out and go like, oh, I see. I can see all the headers here. I can see the headers I sent. That's kind of cool. And so it really lets you kind of look through. You can set up all the authentication here. Are you using OAuth 2? Is it a bearer token? You know, whatever it is, all set up. Put whatever JSON content in the body. You want to use a form, use a form. I think it's a very full-featured client experience, which is a cool thing. And then what's nice is that now that I've sent this, I now have, this is like the history, this activity section. But if I realize I'm going to want this one again and again, I can say, okay, well, let me save it to a collection, very familiar to other, to Postman, right? Mm-hmm. And I'll create a new one, and let's call this collection, test collection, no big deal. Submit that. And now what's cool, and it says, yeah, okay, I can close this tab. I can come back anytime I want and run that one again and again and again.
Yeah, and I will say that is one of the, I like that feature a lot, because oftentimes I'll be working on a certain project, I'll get all my URLs for testing inside of there, and then that's fine. I might go get called away to work on something else, and then when I go back, all of those things are, so it's almost like being able to swap in and out of projects as you need to with the collections capability.
Yeah, and the other thing that's really neat is, and I've used this myself in Postman, I haven't used it here in Thunder Client, but it looks to me like it's going to be exactly the same thing. You are working with an API. That API has authentication.
Right.
There's a whole battery of APIs you're going to call, some gets, some posts, some whatever. So you've got them in a collection where you go to the top of the collection here, and you click settings, and here it is, exactly as I figured it would be. Is set up your authentication for the entire collection here,
yeah,
and then you're set. So if I'm OAuth 2, if it's something that I can generate out of OAuth 2, I put in what type is it, because however you're doing this, there's some way you're doing it. Maybe it's auth code based. You put all the information in as if you were going out to get the bearer token yourself. And what's really cool is once you do this, then you generate the token, and it's like it remembers, it's got it, and it's going to use it for all the APIs under this collection. I've done that myself. Really useful. I mean, this is definitely a full-featured REST client built right into VS Code. It's super popular. We were looking at the extension list. It's got over 1 million downloads, 5 stars. People love it. I think it's pretty well documented. You can go out to GitHub, and I don't know if you have issues, or maybe you want to help, or maybe
exactly.
you know. So the other one is REST client. Now REST client, I think there's something I have to do in order to enable this. I'm trying to remember. Okay, maybe there isn't. So This is slightly different. This is a slightly different take. And what I need, I need a folder for this. Well, that's no big deal. Let's create one. Call source, and that'll be fine. So, yeah, of course I trust the author of this file. Let's say you've got a web project going on, and what I'm going to do here is I'm going to say like source, and oh, that was supposed to be a folder. Source, and in the source file, like whatever, this is my web API. Let's say it's written in Python. Like, who cares? It doesn't really matter what it's written in because we're not actually going to write a web API. So you got your source files, and then maybe your project has assets. There's a method to why I'm showing you all this. So this is REST client, which is a different extension. It's also really high up here, 2.6 downloads, and it's a slightly different take and slightly nuanced difference. What if you don't have to create another folder, but I kind of like doing this. What if I create a folder just called HTTP, and then I say test.http. Now the key is I used the HTTP extension because by default, I think if I've done this correctly, if you do nothing more than just install REST client and you make a file with the .http extension, now I need a URL, which did you?
Oh, yeah. So we're going to go to...
and can I get that URL?
You absolutely can.
Okay.
Well, it's easy to type.
Okay.
Conference API.
Conference API.
.azurewebsites.net.
Oh, cool.
So this is, in API management, their tutorials start out with this URL. And I think that base one will get you to the Swagger, but there's a /speakers/sessions.
Okay. Well, now let's see. You may have already noticed. Here's a file with a .http extension, and I have the REST client extension installed, and some things lit up.
Right.
First of all, it highlighted the get. Second, it underlining the link, which that actually might be VS Code. I'm just being fair.
Sure.
And then we've got a little send request thing that's lit up here, and it changes my icon to that little tiny hand. And when I click it, then it makes the call and opens a new side window with the answer. Now, I don't want to call this, I hesitate to call this like, because I think a term somebody might use is like poor person's postman. That's not.
No.
I don't want to say that.
Yeah.
Because what I like about this is I can very easily source control this file.
Sure.
That's what I like about this idea is I could very easily source control this test.http file. It's real fast. I just come over here, hit send request. It works. I get everything back.
Mm-hmm.
I get back everything that happened. I get back, here's the Swagger, like you said. I get back all of the headers that were sent in the response. And if I want to, I can save the response off, save just the body. Maybe I want to copy it, use it somewhere else. But it's just like this real quick, bam. And I didn't know if there was a replay, but I don't necessarily need it. I can just come and send a request again. Mm-hmm. So I feel like, to me, it's just a slightly different, nuanced way of using this. So I can go ahead and close this.
Yeah. I like that because the JSON ends up in a file.
Yeah.
And then my favorite part of that is taking the JSON and doing the JSON paste as.
Oh, that's right, because we haven't even gotten to that yet.
Oh, sorry.
So you know what's cool is you didn't know which extensions I was looking at.
No, I didn't.
And did you know about the one for VS Code?
No.
Okay, cool, awesome, awesome. That's great, I love it.
Perfect.
So you have other endpoints on this, right?
Yes.
So all I have to do is just start typing again. I don't need another file. I don't need to create a collection. And I'm not dissing ThunderClient. ThunderClient's awesome. But I think I can just say like sessions, right?
Yep.
And let's just run. I think I might need to give it a little more space. I was pretty sure that I can get another send request out of this.
Yeah, it is plural. Just make sure I got the URL right.
Let's see.
Oh, something happened.
Oh, did it change?
Yeah.
See, I can send this request. And I know there's a way that I can have multiple requests on the same line. So here I am. You'd think I would have remembered.
Is there some kind of like a end of line kind of thing?
Let's go to the repository because Do I want it to open the website? Sure, why not? And another thing that might be subtle, but I'm doing this on a Linux Mint VM. So
Oh yeah, we forgot about that.
yeah, right. This isn't, I left my Windows box on this machine. I think, as Rich has seen, is I've been spending more time. Why Linux Mint? Because it's pretty lightweight. It seems to run pretty well in VirtualBox inside a machine like this, which is already like, hey, you've only got so many resources.
Yep.
Ubuntu is great, but what I've started to find is when on my home machine with 32 gigs of RAM, didn't care. On this machine, it was like, okay, I'm out of RAM now, and that was just everything all together. So, nothing against Ubuntu, it's great. So let's take a look here. There is, usage, and then I wonder, is this the trick? Is this the trick? That might be the trick. So they're saying 3 or more consecutive pound signs as a delimiter. So let's go back and do it. 3 or more consecutive pound signs as a delimiter. And there we go. I got my second send request popped up, and now I can call this one. So if that just shows you that this extension, you go to the GitHub link, great documentation. You can do do you have a post on that or not?
I don't believe so. Let's check.
And if you don't, that's fine.
Sorry.
Because other things that you can do is you can pass headers. So I can say content type. This probably isn't going to do much on this one. But I can say content type application JSON just by typing it there, and now that header is going across. And if I need, so there is a post.
Yeah.
Okay.
Session ID, and then ID of the session, and then feedback. So.
Okay. Well, we got some sessions out of this one, I think.
Okay.
Let's see. You sent back a collection. I say you. Sent back a collection. Looks like 100.
Sure.
Okay. So
that's
cool.
right.
So let's go. Let's come down here and do post.
We need 3 pounds.
Yeah. Okay. You're right. Let's get rid of this response so I can see. All right. We're going to post, and we post to this. Is that right?
Yeah, but it's at this
We're
point
posting
it's,
feed. What are we doing?
So
We're
they
posting
call it
feedback.
session. I don't know if that makes a difference for you.
Okay. Posting to session 100, and we're posting feedback. And it looks like we've got to do some other stuff. It wants it to be, oh, I see. We've got to pass in some stuff. It consumes plain text is what it looks like.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. It looked like a little bit further down it said.
Oh, consumes text plain, yes.
Content type. Content type. Text plain, there it is. And then does that mean that I can literally just type something here?
Well, would you have to, somehow you got to give them a payload, right?
Yeah. But I'm wondering if because they're saying text plain that it doesn't need to be in JSON form.
Oh,
I'm
true.
guessing. So
yeah. This is great.
okay, so let's see if I can send this request. And what do I get for the response? I got okay, sweet. And basically, I'm not sure if this was the expected response. It seems to have reflected back to me my comment. So I wonder now if I go to get, am I going to get that in my response? Am I going to get feedback in here? I wonder how far I have to scroll down
You do a search for feedback?
in this thing.
Yeah. Doesn't
Maybe
look
not.
like it. Okay.
It might not. It might not. Oh, wait. This was to get all sessions, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So let's do another one. Let's do another one. What if I just say get? And put in get, session 100. Is that enough for me to get feedback back? Feedback back? Can I say that? Can I say that 3 times fast? Maybe not. Now I wonder if instead, so I seem to have only gotten like, I wonder I wonder if there's an endpoint for feedback.
/feedback, just like you did on the post, right?
Oh, it says 0. Okay, well, to be fair, I don't know if this API maybe is not taking feedback just so it doesn't get spammed.
Sure.
I don't know that.
I mean, it might have just been an empty response. Give us a post. We'll just send OK
Yeah,
back.
sure. We'll just tell you OK. But I guess we kind of proved the point that here I am in a file. I have the ability to send all these requests. I can modify them whenever I want. I get my answer right here in VS Code. And then what I think is kind of cool is, not that you can't save stuff off in other clients, but this is just a simple text file. It's sitting right here. It can sit alongside the rest of the code. I can go throw this in source control very easily. And I can just say, when you get the project out, it's almost like you're getting this really quick, simple guidebook of like, oh, here's how the API works.
Yeah. And I apologize because I was not sitting in the chat window, but Loka is here. Welcome, Loka.
Awesome, awesome.
And he had the hey, separate.
He had the line of hashtags.
Yeah. And then he also says you can also use variables so you don't have to duplicate the base URL for each request.
Nice.
Awesome.
Well, let's see.
Bit.
Let's
see if
see.
we can make
Is
that
that
work.
easy to find? Kind of looks like system dynamic variables, and then will it be easy to find? Use variables in place of any request, URL, headers, and body. Okay, fine. Supports the question now. It does say custom variables. If you want to use variables in that file, you'll use so. Okay. In the URL. It looks, I can see it that there is a REST client. This is for, I don't really want that. I'm just wondering how you declare them in your file. Maybe you do it in your file. Request headers, query strings. Loka might come back and tell us in a second.
Yep, there we go.
Like, you guys are taking forever.
At base URL equals.
Okay. So let's see if I come up here and I say at base URL equals. And let's put this in. Now, is that all there is to it? Is that all there is to it? Maybe. Maybe that's interesting syntax if that works. That got auto-completed for me. I have a feeling that that was, I'm not sure that that's what I wanted, but let's try this again. Nope. So I wonder, no, I don't see why I would need the, I don't see why that would be it. Did I spell it the same way? I did. I'm hoping we can figure this out. He's going to help us in a second, huh? Oh, no, he did say, oh, it is. So you know what? The extension was trying to help me. Because what happened is I started typing base URL, and let's go, now this time what I'm going to do, in fact, it looks like it's figured it out.
Okay.
It looks like the extension is telling me, hey, if all you did was look at this tip I was giving you, file custom variable, if I hit tab, it goes ahead and puts it in the double curly braces, just like Luca's saying in the chat. And now let's send the request, and sure enough, that's it. That's it. So that is really cool.
Love it. That is awesome.
And this is exactly why we do the show, because we know folks are going to come and save us in chat. So I can just use base URL all the way through here, and then we're set. Now, I don't even really want to represent that this doesn't support the full list of features as ThunderClient, because I think it does. You look at the documentation, and it talks about just you want to send headers, you want to send the body. This document goes on for a while. You want to, supporting certificates. So just because we don't see menu options doesn't mean anything. In fact, I think that's the beauty of it, is that it's just this lightweight text file that you can go, source control, done, next person comes along, and maybe, again, as a developer on your own local machine, it's not going to be the real site. You're going to be working localhost. You make that one change, boom, the rest of it's good.
Yeah.
I like it.
I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, we used it in the Azure, when we were working with Azure Functions, we used it. And I just thought it was just quicker for us to just go back there, boom, instead of bringing up. But this is a great client too. And look, they both work together. It's not like it's going to stop me. So here it goes, Thunder client works, hit send. But yeah, those are those two. And then you were just mentioning about the JSON.
Yes.
Just mentioning about JSON. So check this out. Visual Studio, we have known for a long time, has had a paste JSON as class feature, which has been super useful when you know you're going to have to work with the results of an API. So I'm sure I've done this.
Oh yeah.
You go call the API, then you get the result, you take it over to Visual Studio, plop it in there, except you use this paste special, paste JSON as classes, and boom, you get a class that's ready for JSON.NET or the system.text.json stuff that's built into .NET 5. Might have been a little earlier, I don't remember. But it's in .NET now. So I'm going to install paste JSON as code. What's interesting about paste JSON as code is you can see right in the title, ready to be pasted for Go, TypeScript, C#, C++, and then it says and more. They're taking JavaScript, Kotlin. So I mean, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it's still installing. But there we go. And we will come back here and we will run one of these tests so that we can get, let's see, which one do I want? I guess any of them. Doesn't really matter, right? I did get JSON back. Did I?
Except they think that is the Swagger one, right?
Oh, yeah. So let's not
Probably
do
want
that one.
session.
Let's do sessions. And got a bunch of JSON. And here it's going to say, what do I want? Copy response body. So let's copy the response body. And let's go create some new file. We'll put it in here. And paste JSON as code, which apparently is Control-Shift-V.
Okay.
Now, I'm going to try this in a Python file, which I didn't try.
Oh, okay.
I just want to see.
Does this fall under and more?
Top level type name, so it's asking me. I'm going to say sessions. That's
Right.
fine, doesn't matter. And it's okay, awesome, perfect, it's exactly what we wanted.
Which I love that, by the way, because when you do this in Visual Studio, it says root something, or it gives it its own class name, and I've got to go back and rename everything.
But here I am, because I went into a .py file and then said paste as, it's like, sure, here you go, here's some Python.
Yeah.
And so now I've got Python classes that represent that, that particular JSON schema. Now, I bet you, I don't have to really do anything else other than say my C# file. And just the fact that I'm going to put CS here is probably going to be good enough. And we'll go back and say paste JSON as code. And it's going to say, well, what do you want me to call it? Again, which you're right. It doesn't ask you that. And here we go, exactly what we would expect. And we're getting a C# file it looks like it's set up for Newtonsoft JSON even.
Yeah, because it's got the usings in there too.
Yeah, it's got the usings in, and it's got your attributes.
Now, it's doing something I don't recall seeing before. Namespace and the usings inside the namespace.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Usually they're at the top of
That's an interesting thing, and it's kind of an aside. I don't know what's doing it, but there is I don't want to call it style cop, but there has lately become a new trend of putting the usings inside the namespace. And I actually read a whole help file on why. And so depending on what you enable in Visual Studio, it will come up as a recommendation.
Wow.
And this is just something I've noticed recently.
Okay. Is that because they're related more to the class than they are to the namespace? I'm reaching here.
Inside namespace suggestion. Let's see if it can even find it. Wouldn't that be cool? Code syntax style. So certainly people are asking the question, right? But there is so again, people are asking for it to be changed in the templates. But it is a code syntax style suggestion that first of all, I know Writer's doing, but I've seen it in Visual Studio too. And I was just hoping to find that suggestion. But yeah, technical reason. There's actually a subtle difference between the two. Imagine you have the following code. Now imagine somebody writes another file, and they say outer.inner, whatever. The compiler searches outer before looking at those using directives outside the namespace, so it finds outer math instead of system math. Okay. So now file 1 is broken. So anyways, yeah, I'm gonna have to go take a look at this Visual Studio project, which was giving me that warning. And the other thing that it was asking me to do all the time, and I don't think it's gonna automatically do this, is if I were to just change this, yeah, it's not gonna do it, but in Visual Studio IDE, and maybe with the C# extension it would, if you do nothing more than walk up to the end of your namespace and hit a semicolon, then it automatically figures, oh, you must want our new single namespace feature, and it automatically takes all of this. Oh boy, there's a lot of it. It automatically takes all of this and pushes it in what you might consider a modern style.
Yeah. Okay.
This namespace thing, I think this came out in, I don't remember if it was 8 or 9, C# 8 or 9, I don't remember, maybe 10, maybe 9, I don't know. But the rule here is you can only have one namespace per file, which is not all that atypical.
Right.
Yeah, interesting that you brought up the usings inside the namespace. Comes up with a project that I'm working on now where the code styling just pops up a warning. It's like, I can't move usings into the namespace. So I've been clicking on it saying like, fine, do whatever you want.
Yeah.
But I think this is really cool. I wonder now, what if I create another new file and I say my C++.cpp, because I just wonder, what does C++ look like? Paste JSON as code. So they're certainly picking some stuff. They're picking stuff out of the Boost libraries, which I don't know much more than that they exist. And yeah, been a long time since I've looked at C++. But we've got code that should parse out, or at least help us parse out that session JSON. So that's pretty cool. And that's like, this feature has been beloved in Visual Studio IDE and C++ for C# for a very long time. And here it is, like all these different languages support. There was an interesting one here that says paste TypeScript as code. That's not the same one. I was just wondering what else is in the paste JSON schema as code or paste JSON schema as types. So that's interesting. Wonder what the difference is if I just say as a type. Let's try that real quick, because now I'm curious. My C# as types. The key is that I'm saying CS, and let's go paste JSON as types, top level type name, sessions. I don't know that it's that much different. Hard to tell. Hard to tell just looking. May not be that much different.
Yeah.
Writes a fair amount of code though. Like it'll write JSON if you.
I mean, was that in the other?
We'll
when
go
you
take a
pasted
look.
its code?
We'll take a look. Okay, I see. So with a name converter, you can. Okay, so let's see. Let's look at the other one. Kind of looks like it.
It is there.
Kinda
Okay.
looks like it. Okay. Well, I mean, we're not gonna.
No, but well, I guess it depends.
I wonder if the different languages it might be different. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I do like that one. That's a cool extension as well.
That's a good find.
So that was just funny that you brought that up. I was like, let's see, what else? What else? I don't know if there was anything else on my list there, actually.
Okay.
But I think we all work with JSON. We work with it in different languages. We all are often using REST clients. Maybe Peacock will help you out. Maybe Quaco will help you out in JavaScript. I just thought it was cool to have that automated execution, like just bam, just that whole experience of JavaScript. How do I switch back? I'm trying to get out of my screen here. There we go. I like that experience in Quokka, and it was funny, I tried out that trial. So don't everybody enjoy the trial at once. Wait until I can get that removed from the video. So
Just go out the Quokka and reset your key there.
oh yeah, hopefully I can do that. That would be nice. Sorry to the Wallaby folks. And definitely support them.
Yeah.
Don't hesitate to come to each of these projects. If you start using them and you like these projects, there's two things you can do to help the project user out. One is give them a rating here in the Visual Studio Code Marketplace. Give them that rating.
Should we go back?
Oh yeah.
Sorry,
I forgot they weren't watching. So don't forget, if you start using these projects, I don't care which ones they are, don't forget to give them a rating in the Visual Studio Code Marketplace. That way, everybody knows that it worked for you, it helped you. And second, if they have a GitHub repository. So for example, we were looking at Quokka, which we were looking at it out in GitHub, right?
Mm-hmm.
So let me switch away real quick, and then we'll come right back.
Boop.
So just real quick, close that, and then let's get to the, I just want to get to their site.
Sure.
Not their site. Let's go to REST clients, just because I remember that there was a quick trip to their GitHub site. Okay. Do not forget.
All right, so we're back.
Yeah. So don't forget, besides giving them the rating in the marketplace, if they have a repository listed, go out to that repository, make sure you star it. I'm not signed in right now, so as you can see, it doesn't show this sign. Make sure you star it. Again, it really helps. It really helps them. What it does is GitHub will show them to other interested folks, and it'll come up more often. It gets more exposure, and people get to see, like, hey, this cool project's out here. If you have any issues with it, I'm sure they'd appreciate you filing one. And I think this one, I think they're taking help. I don't know. I'm just assuming they are. I probably shouldn't make that assumption, but I think that they take help. But yeah.
I mean, you look at the issues, and
There's
they're
enough of
usually
them.
tagged, right?
Yeah.
So the issues are usually
Right.
tagged as, hey, this is a great place to start, or could use some help here, kind of thing.
Yeah, sometimes it'll be like good, first issue, or up for grabs. That's actually would be an interesting show, right? To look at up for grabs
On different projects?
on different projects. Up for grabs, that's probably not what I wanted. Up for grabs, code. Yeah, so this is
this is
something
a
we'll
site?
have to look at one of these. There's a couple of these. There's
Interesting.
more than one of these sites. But Up for Grabs is one of them, and it has good first issues, and you can basically get involved, like here's Akka.net and so on. That might be an interesting show. There's another site. I don't think it's called Good First Issue. Oh, well, maybe it is. Maybe it is goodfirstissue.dev. There are several of these, and it's because there isn't a universal standard for the tag.
Okay.
But a lot of sites will do Up for Grabs. A lot of them say Good First Issue. And then what happens is somebody builds a site like this that just aggregates it, because they can just aggregate it out of the API.
Yeah.
And
That's pretty nice. That's a good thing for those who are interested in learning about something, but don't want to have to go trolling through everything in GitHub for
absolutely,
the
yeah.
space to do this.
I know for sure that if we go to the .NET site, that I bet you if I could hit Roslyn here, and I go to issues, I'd like to think that I would find one quickly. But let's see, you can go to labels from here, right? So label.
Wow.
Yeah, maybe I reached for one that, there we go, Good First Issue. They do have the label, and there are some closed ones here.
Okay.
So, or Help Wanted. Maybe they're using Help Wanted now.
Sure.
Because that happens, is sometimes a project will switch. So here's the label Help Wanted. Oh yeah, 1,745 open with the label Help Wanted. So they've got a few. And so different projects use different ones, and that might be an interesting show in itself. I've always wanted to see if we could find an issue and then like, I don't think we'd be able, I don't know, it would have to be pretty simple, but I don't know if we'd be able to solve it and push it, but at least it might be cool to go through the process.
Yeah, I definitely, that'd be a fun one
So-
to look at.
So yeah, a little bit of an aside there, but that's it. That's it. Some Visual Studio Code extensions. Hopefully that helps out. We would love to know what your favorite Visual Studio Code extensions are for productivity. What helps you out when you're using the IDE? What is in there that you say, man, I wish this was in the product, but hey, I found this extension that helps me out. So
Yeah, definitely. And if you have one of those, drop it in the comments.
Yeah.
Let us know. Let us tell us about it. If you've been watching on YouTube this far, let's go ahead and hit the like button. Let us know that you like this video and that some more content you want to see. And also, if you're not subscribed, that would be something awesome to hear, so you can see when we go live, because we'll be going live a lot more often very shortly. So.
Yeah. So definitely Wednesdays at 8:30 U.S. Eastern. If you're watching us in the future, that's when you can catch us live. Currently on Twitch and YouTube. So like right now we're on Twitch. We had some great help from folks in the Twitch chat today. It's okay to chat with us on YouTube as well. And in the near future, you're going to see we're going to definitely try to get out to community events and get some of this. See if we can have as guests some of the speakers from those events. There will be more announcements here as we have them. Once we can get a calendar to you, you can see those events yourself live. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, and then maybe we'll be able to have an after show here about those. That'll be cool. That's the plan anyway. But no matter what, we will be here Wednesdays at 8:30. So
Absolutely.
awesome.
Cool.
Awesome.
A lot of great stuff there, Chris. Appreciate it.
Cool. Let's see. What do we need to set it? Do we need to set anything up, or you're ready to go? We
I'm
think?
ready to go.
Okay. Cool. All right. Awesome. So let's see. Today's the 17th. We should be back here on the 24th, 8:30. I don't know if we'll be back here or if we'll be in the comfort of our home offices or wherever we sit in front of our computers.
Yeah.
That remains to be seen, but don't forget to check us out on Twitter, The Dev Talk Show, for updates there. And if you search for The Dev Talk Show on Meetup, you can see a schedule if we get one posted. But if you're just saying, hey, I know they're going to be on, you know where to find us, Twitch and YouTube, The Dev Talk Show at 8:30 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So for Rich Ross, thank you for everything he did to switch scenes. All the audio stuff is sounding great because of him. Look at this cool little microphone setup that was really neat. The stuff on my laptop went out to you. Thanks for helping with all that. And the Twitch notification failed. Okay, well, good to know. Thanks for letting us know.
It's all good.
And
Yep.
and thanks for being here. And we will see you next week on the Dev Talk Show.